Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we got an 02 Acura T held behind me, and we are going to be removing and reinstalling the EGR valve. The reason why I'm going to be removing it is because we need to clean it up a little bit. However, it's not bad, but I figured I'd record it to show you guys how we take it off and put it on. It's going to be real quick and simple. So before we go ahead and begin, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. Definitely smash that like button because it helps the channel out. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's video. To get started on this, we're gonna have to remove these engine covers. Now this one typically has 4 bolts, one here and then all around the perimeter. Unfortunately, we're missing one. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take out the 3 that are left on this particular car. Now your car may or may not have this on top. Sometimes these have gone with the wind, especially when a car is as old as this is. But if you have it, 4 bolts, and you are able to get your engine cover off and move it off to the side. Now one more thing that you're going to have to remove is this cover right here. We're using our flathead screwdriver to turn the little tabs that it has, and then you're going to need a clip tool, like a panel popper in a way, to remove the rear clip that's holding it into place, and we are going to get that and move it to the side. Now that we have that out of the way, we have good general access to our area where we're going to be working in, but we need to make a little bit of more room. What you're going to have to do is move this tube that is in the way. So what I'm going to do is come around here, and we are going to grab this clamp and just pull out on this hose. All right, just like that. Now these can be a little tough sometimes, and I do know that this one should just come off of this right there, just like that, whether it has a clamp or not. This is a PCV tube. This one's been modified. Normally there's a coolant hose that goes through it, but it's been modified. The coolant hose comes out the back. So for this video, simply just remove this assembly, and the smaller hose that you can see here has been modified. Typically will carry coolant, so if you remove this all the way, expect some coolant to come out. But on this car, this tube was leaking at one point in time, and someone bypassed it and put a rubber hose, routed it through the back of the engine. So that's not going to be a concern for us on this particular car, but it may be on yours, so just be mindful of that. What I also like to do is get my wiring for my coil packs out of the way. There's a bracket with 2 10mm. Just go ahead and remove them. And once you remove those, what you have to do is disconnect your coil packs just by simply pushing the connectors, and you should be able to just go ahead and let them sit off to the side. Now we have access to our EGR. We need to remove that. So what we're gonna do is unplug our connector just like that, and there's going to be 2 bolts down there that we need to remove. Let me go ahead and grab my tools and I'll show you guys how we remove it. Alright, so now it's time to get our bolts off. Now I'm going to zoom the camera in here and give you guys a good idea. There's going to be a bolt right there and one right behind it. That's what we are after. Now the actual EGR valve kind of blocks you getting in there with a standard socket. You can try going in there with a swivel like this, but this I find is usually too big to get in there. What I always use on these is a nano socket and a swivel that allows the socket to just kind of do its thing, like a wobble extension. I believe is what these are called. And I get it on there, and don't be surprised if these bolts fight you. These encounter a lot of heat down here, so sometimes they can be pretty brittle. Let's see if we can break ours loose. So all right, we got one off. Now I'm actually surprised because I thought this would give me more of a fight. So now that it's loosened up, what I'm going to do is actually tighten it back a little bit, because I'm not able to get my socket out if I don't. It's one of those situations where you gotta be able to get your tool out just because of the tight circumstances that you're in here. So let me go ahead and loosen that up and take off this one. And then what we're gonna do is go ahead and do the same thing to the rear one. Hopefully this rear one comes off and doesn't fight me here. So let me get in here, try to find the correct angle. All right. We were able to break them loose. Now I'm removing my tool as soon as I crack them loose, simply because as you guys saw, if you leave your tool on there and you crank them up all the way, they will get stuck on there. You can't get your socket out. Now that we have our socket and bolts off, we should be able to just rock it back and forth and take off our EGR valve, which is right here. And that is the main reason, if you guys can see, let me get the light going here, on why we are removing ours, because you can see this is pretty clogged up. We are going to be cleaning this up. Alright guys, so I have you at the bench now that we got the EGR off, and you will see this port is pretty clogged up, and this area here, we have to clean them up. It's pretty bad on this one, and this was my suspicion, is that we have a bunch of carbon residue. You guys can see here, just falling off. The best way to do this is to soak this. Now I'm going to use a product that is similar to a really popular product out there called Seafoam. It's kind of the same thing, just, you know, off-branded. I use it here at the shop a lot. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and fill up these areas and let that thing penetrate and soften up everything in here that is pretty much, you know, clogged up. Now I have some brake cleaner, and just to demonstrate, basically you can get, you know, some cleaner in here and in there, and, you know, just let it sit. And this product is going to sit in there, and it'll basically soften everything up. It's going to take a while for that to happen. It's probably going to take a couple hours that I'm going to let it sit. And then when I come back after it's been soaking in that product, we're going to come in here and we're going to start cleaning everything up and just trying to get as much crud off of this as we can. Alright guys, it's been a couple hours. This has been soaking in here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but inside of the port here, I can see this stuff eating away at all the grime. Now, what happens when we use this product? It's not necessarily going to remove the grime. What it's going to do is just basically make it softer and make it more easier for us to remove. Now, I haven't emptied this out, so what we're going to do is go ahead and empty it out. And you guys can see it's very discolored. And then what I'm going to do is take a wire brush, and I'm going to start cleaning up the valve area here, and also start brushing up my little opening. I'm just trying to get the residual residue out of here right now. Pretty much whatever is on the seat of it. We haven't really gone in depth much as of this moment, but this is what you typically want to do, is just get in here with whatever you can and try to clean up a good majority of these areas, because what happens is when this crud builds up in here, it doesn't allow for really good flow of anything, and it just creates restrictions and a lot of issues for you going down the road. I'm going to try to open up this area the best that I can here, and I don't know how well the camera is picking it up, but I'm just basically picking away at anything and everything that I can here. And then I'm going to use my brake cleaner to get in here and just try to flush out any crud that might have been left in there. Now, this can be a very, I guess you can say, strenuous process where you do this for a while. Obviously, if you don't like cleaning stuff, I would say, you know, go ahead and get an EGR valve. But, you know, it doesn't really hurt for me to do this. I'm actually in the car right now doing another service, so I figured I'll take the time to just clean this up. I am waiting on parts, so I'm not really in a huge rush for anything at this point in time. So what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is I'm just going to clean up these areas, you know, use my brush to brush it up, and use my little screwdriver to try to pick out any big debris that I can. And that's pretty much the best that we can do. But let me go ahead and do that off camera and bring you guys back in. I just wanted to demo how I'm doing this. Now, the product that I used on there, you can buy pretty much a carburetor cleaner, EGR passage cleaner, guys, or Seafoam. That's what I'm using. Basically, it's a off-brand of Seafoam to clean up these areas. So, you know, just make sure you have something that's a chemical that can soak in here, make this carbon a little bit softer, so that way you're able to scrape it off and get it off just using brushes, picks, and some brake cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and take a couple minutes and clean this up here a little bit better, and then I'll bring you guys back in. Alright guys, so I've spent a few minutes here and I cleaned up my areas. We got pretty much as we could get out of here and on this valve portion here. This thing is all set and ready to go back on the car. Now, I did go a little bit further. I did take my little grinder wheel here with my prep wheel, and I did clean up my surface area. You can see it's nice and shiny. And I did take this on the wire wheel really quick. just to clean up my surface areas, make it look a little better. It was looking pretty dingy. But just to show you guys how much crap was in here, if you look at the pad that we were working on, look at all that black soot and crud. Most of this would have been fine material, like you see on top of the mat. However, using our chemical, that seafoam product, to go ahead and let it soak in there, ate away most of it and turned the fluid a little bit darker in color, and that's what you're seeing here. This thing had a good amount of it in there, but now it's all cleaned up and ready to go. So what we're gonna do is get a new gasket for it and go ahead and install it onto the vehicle. So the next step would be to clean your EGR flange area. Now I already went ahead and did this, and I used my angle grinder here with my surface prep pad, cleaned it up, made it nice and shiny. So that way we have a new area where our gasket can bond with the EGR and everything when we reinstall it. So next step that we are going to do is take our EGR valve and make sure you grab this with your gasket and everything, so we have everything in our hand here. And what we're gonna do is go ahead and put it back on. It should just fall right into place, but sometimes what I find is the gaskets will want to fight you. They can be a little difficult, but we got ours on, and there you go. So it goes on pretty simple. Now that we have our EGR valve on, what we need to do is go ahead and take your hardware, which are your nuts that you took off, and we are going to start them off by hand, and then we're going to go ahead and get everything tightened up. Now that we got our EGR bolted up firmly into place, what we're going to do is go ahead and reconnect our EGR plug back on there, make sure it snaps into place. Then we are going to take our bracket with our coil pack wires, and we are going to make sure that we snap it right into place. Make sure these coil pack wires are attached. Sometimes they don't click and you may not have them on there fully, so just be very mindful of that, guys. And then we're going to take our 10mm bolts for our bracket and go ahead and install those. Now I don't really torque these, I just hit them on with a gun. Now that we have that installed, what we're going to have to do is go ahead and reinstall our covers. You may or may not have these covers on your vehicle, so like I said, just be mindful if you do have them, reinstall them. I know that most of these covers throughout the years, especially something like this, it's a little bit older, they do tend to disappear. Now that we have the coil packs and the bracket, everything reinstalled, what I'm going to do is go ahead and take our PCV hose here and go ahead and line it back up. Now typically you don't need to remove the clamp to slide these back on. You just spray it with some silicone spray. It'll help everything slide back into place. Let me see if this will work that way. It doesn't look like it is. Typically they come in and off, but we'll just go ahead and give it the extra slide in here. Now this boot here is not in the best of shape, so you want to be careful not to break it. Honda's had a lot of issues with these intake boots here for quite a few years. This rubber portion right here eventually cracks and breaks apart, and it's just basically impossible to find them. Just very common failure point on them. Now with the EGR valve installed, what we're going to do is go ahead and take our engine covers. Again, if you guys had them, reinstall them. These are quite simple to put back, as you see here. They just snap right in. And after you have that one in, you can actually install your top one. The reason why you install this first is because these interlace with one another. They will use one another to lock down. So as long as you put that in before, typically you're all right. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and start these bolts off by hand, because they will cross thread if you don't. And one of them's already missing, so we don't really got to worry about that portion. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this up. Alright guys, so that's how easy it is to remove and replace your EGR valve on an Acura 3.2 liter. And that's how easy it is to clean them if you guys just take yours off and clean it up like we did ours. It's really simple. As long as you got a couple hours to let whatever chemical you're using, whether it be carb cleaner or some sort of a seafoam product, to get in there and break down all that gunk inside the EGR valve,
It usually winds up working pretty well. It's a good maintenance to do, and it'll save you from having to buy a new EGR valve if you do this sort of as a maintenance every now and then. It'll definitely help out. You guys saw how bad ours was and how clean it came out in the end. So hopefully this video helps you guys out. Please comment, like, and subscribe because it definitely helps the channel grow. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.